This is Due by Friday, a weekly challenge podcast with Alex Cox and Merlin Mann. This week's challenge, watch The Perfect Neighbor.
Recording.
Hello, Merlin Mann.
Hey, Alex, how are you?
I'm doing all right. How are you? Is this post-breakfast time? It's a tradition to talk about breakfast before every podcast, but we come in hot.
What?
It's a tradition to talk about what you've had for breakfast.
Oh, I don't really eat. What did you have? Oh, no, you're doing a bit.
Nice.
I see. Are you doing a bit? What did you have for breakfast, if you want to do that? Are you testing your level? Is that it? That's your bit, right?
That is indeed a bit.
Okay.
But
what did you have breakfast you enjoyed? Is that what you want to talk about?
Yes.
What'd you have?
I had a donut.
Oh,
and
good.
I asked for a Little Debbie's, which is what you like, right?
What? You asked for you're talking about like a coffee cake?
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like they're not exactly. I said like Drake's cakes, but it could be Little Debbie's. Basically, it's any kind of like a coffee cake where you get crumbles on top. I wish I could get just crumbles, Crumbletops. Whoa! I'm gonna be so rich with my new chain called Crumbletops. Hello.
Yes.
Hello. Welcome to JJ Crumbletops. JJ Crumbletops. I am. Hello.
This is even better.
Crumbletops. JJ Crumbletops.
This is
Crumbletops. I like the sound of that. It's got a nice mouthfeel to it.
Crumbletops. Hi. Would you like some Crumbletops?
No, I'm not really sure how crumbles get made. I think it's, I think one thing people get confused about in the season of pumpkin spice, that cinnamon by itself, man, that's rough. It's the sugar that's nice. You have the cinnamon. The cinnamon makes the sugar taste nice, is what cinnamon really does. If you ever had cinnamon, you remember that cinnamon challenge, and I don't recommend it. You remember what happens when you just eat cinnamon. It's no fun.
It doesn't look fun, although putting an entire spice in your mouth at once, that sounds like something I would do, but it
really doesn't, because you only eat white food that has no taste.
Well,
But you like the intensity of mouth experience, is that right?
Exactly. I like trying different textures. And so if I'm open to a texture, I want to experience it completely on its own, which is why Crumbles is such a great product, because your customer base is going to be huge. There's people with texture stuff. There's people who just like the bits, like the Steven Universe people. There's the audience of folks who are big Elaine fans from Seinfeld who wanted,
muffin tops.
And I think you got something here. You do.
Well,
I know you're.
I'm pulling out an old idea because everything's cyclical. And just because, well, I don't want to oversell it, but I am not a serial entrepreneur. I'm a serial idea-nator. I have yet to make any money from any of it. But on November 13th, 2006, I did put some very positive energy out into the world by saying 5 ideas I've had for family theme restaurants. May I read them to you?
Please.
This is from a website called Fives. It's called 5 Ideas I've Had for Family Theme Restaurants. And this is longer than I'd like, but we don't really have anything else. Number 1, B.F. Skinner's Original Stuffers. B.F. Skinner's Original Stuffers.
Yes.
The poultry skin of your choosing is stuffed with a la carte selections from the Fixins Bar, deep fried to a golden brown, and served with your choice of fun dipping sauces. Number 2, Bobby B. Butterworth's Old Fashioned Dairy Fun Shack. A frozen quarter-pound stick of salted creamery butter is hand-buttered, flash-fried, and served with your choice of fun dipping sauces. You ever been to Long John Silver's, Alex?
No.
Oh, then you won't know what this means. Long John Silver's Dripper Hut, offshoot of the fast food seafood. Because when you get Long John Silver's, and I guess with probably fish and chips in general, you also get like little just fried bits.
Oh, okay. Like intentionally,
I had a girlfriend
or is
who
it a Crumbles?
Because when you cook the fish and you take it out of the basket and it goes, you've got the parts
the
that are
fried
fish.
Pieces.
Yeah. I had a girlfriend who used to just refer to them as fried. Long John Silver's Dripper Hut, offshoot of the fast food seafood franchise, offers, quote, mini buckets of their leftover fried shortening flecks, served with your choice of fun dipping sauces. Mouth Meat Mel's. A 450-degree Fahrenheit pizza, sure to immediately scald the roof of your mouth, is served with your choice of fun dipping sauces. Note, first-time members of the Mel's Mouth Meat Makers Club receive a colorful eye damage to delicate tissues of my mouth at Mel's adhesive ribbon.
Oh.
Yeah. And then finally, number 5. The number 5 is the one I think it's really I can retire on. Dippin', dippin', dippin'. That's the dipping sauce of your choice, served with the dipping sauce of your choice. What if you just paired sauce? I would pair sauces. I pair the shit out of a sauce. I think of like many decent Americans, I consider many foods to exist as a conveyance for a different food.
Okay. Well,
like cinnamon and
give
sugar.
me an okay.
Or better example,
okay,
like
so
a lot of things
like
are
a food type.
I'm sorry, I got to do the mix thing again. I think a lot of things are a conveyance for salt. I think a lot, or salty tastes. I think a lot of things are honestly a conveyance for butter. You know?
Oh, yes.
Do you like butter a little bit?
Yeah, of course. Any type of fat.
Any fat.
Well, I think that if someone were to give me some lard, I mean, I'm curious about the texture.
You ever interact with lard?
Not in its purest form.
I mean, if somebody gave you a block of lard in San Francisco in August, you would have more fun with it than if somebody gave you, say, a pound of lard in Chicago in August. Because it's solid at room temperature, but it melts because it's just a big fat thing. So, I mean, eventually it just turns into a lukewarm liquid.
Okay.
Which can still be nice.
This sounds
I bet it's got high viscosity. You got high viscosity.
Yes, this
Do you
is
like slippery
another
things?
offshoot. Again, depends on the viscosity. If you can't control the slip, like that was the problem with most off-brand slip and slides when I was a kid. They were kind of going out of.
Well, because people kept breaking body parts and getting spinal injuries.
Well, this was another. I think 30 minutes
just
after
one
sweet.
fat drunk uncle at the party ruins it for everybody. Dear God, I can't feel my legs. Happy birthday, dear Terrence. Call someone. Uncle Jackie's so crazy. I literally can't feel my legs. I just wanted to have fun once.
Why is it always an Uncle Jack?
It wasn't. Well, Terrence is the birthday boy title. And I think do people know what slip and slides are, right? Is it one of those things like Twister that you have to explain to people now? I mean, in my day, a slip and slide there was a whole bunch of these things you could buy that were like fun water things you could attach a hose to and do fun things with. And you attach your hose to this plastic strip, you put it on the grass, and the idea is it shoots a stream of water across this plastic. And at least in the commercials, you kind of just run a little bit and then you jump and slide on but it's on a horizontal surface, right? It's usually not on like a hill.
No.
So to get any kind of locomotion, Uncle Jack's going to have to really put his back into it. What's left of it anyway.
Right. The idea was you do a running start.
I have my whole life ahead of me. Happy birthday. I see it so clearly. And for some reason, the clown from Judy Gemstone's party is there. Ooh.
Oh, no.
Remember the gray clown? Remember how gray he was?
Yes. So gray. Now the party is just yellow and gray, and there's that pink, I've never seen fondant in real life.
Oh, it's horrible.
Like to play with.
No, fondant is fine as an art supply, but I don't think we should think of it as food. It's like lard,
I think.
No, it's really hard. It's like it's really gross and not tasty. It's like fucking marzipan or something. It's like it's not really food.
What's the difference between I'm not going to look it up. I don't need to dig.
I don't know.
I don't need to know
Oh my God, your self-awareness is off the charts. Also, I was about to ask you a question, but every lawyer knows not to ask a question unless they know the answer to it. Are you familiar with the phenomenon of lawn darts? Or think about you play cornhole, right? Which is a terrible name.
Yes.
But you're familiar with the idea of cornhole. You got two boxes with holes.
We changed it to bags. Millennials just said We're calling it bags.
We're waiting for our order. Let's go play bags.
Yep. Literally, yes.
Wow. It's a real creative moment for y'all.
Yeah.
They call them bags. So you're familiar with the idea of a competitive game where you got to get something from one place to another and you compete with another person. Now, a later version of what started as lawn darts is you get these, and I had these later in my childhood, is like, it's basically almost like a beanbag. It's a cross between if you like a dart and a beanbag. So basically it's just like a soft-ended thing that's weighted, if you can imagine that. So like when you throw it, it gets a trajectory rather than just flipping ass over a tea kettle. Does that make sense?
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yes.
But this is where America, I think, arguably reached its zenith. Oh, come on, you piece of... Why is all the JavaScript trying to hurt me? Okay, so lawn darts, I'm aware of because there is a game, I'm killing time, and there's a game, here we go. And my dad, worked in sporting goods, so he had all kinds of cool stuff. This is something that we had for my entire...
Oh, shit! That's...
What's that?
Wow.
What?
I didn't know that.
Oh,
Holy
my dad
shit.
was... My dad worked for a small... Boy, you want to talk... Let's talk... Oh, boy. Are you ready? Okay, do you want to hear about my dad's job or do you want to hear about lawn darts first? Because they're both good. Let's do my dad's job because it's fast.
Yes.
My late father had worked... he'd worked in broadcasting. At one point, he started working at a sporting goods store. And then through this amazing stroke of luck, he became the buyer for sporting goods for a small chain of department stores in Cincinnati. And so already we've got a very 1970s story here, which is a guy who used to be in broadcasting, gets a job at Brenda Moore's, and then goes and works at this other place that has, at the time, I think three or four. So, wow. But wait, you had a department store chain in one medium-sized town? Yeah, it was a different time. Alex, do you know what the chain of stores was called? It was called Chinatown.
Kmart?
No, it's a lot like Kmart. It's called Chinatown. One word, Chinatown.
Chinatown.
And, well, here's the thing. And it precedes the time of the Roman Polanski movie.
No, really? That's not even funny.
I have seen I sent this to my mom probably 5 years ago, but you can buy vintage. There's this company that makes all this great fake vintage stuff for different towns. You could probably find it for Chicago. You could go find brand names stores from your childhood that haven't existed for 50 years. You can get shirts and stuff of it. Anyway, Chinatown, I can't find the logo just now, but it's in the Ching Chong Bing Bong typeface. A yellow sign with black letters that says Chinatown.
Any motivation that you knew of? Just
this is one of those things. This is maybe a little bit of a cutting the ends off the roast thing where I'm like, you know what? I don't think I've ever really thought about why it's called Chinatown. I'm going to make a guess. I bet it started out as a store that sold, what's the word? Not flatware, but, plates and bowls and stuff. Like, what I mean? Household.
China.
Yeah, but I'm trying to avoid, you can't use the word definition in the definition of the word definition.
No,
Anyhow,
cutlery. I don't know.
That's flatware. Anyways, I bet that's how it started. But that's where my dad worked, and that's how he got me a basketball signed by John Havlicek. That's how he got me a lot of cool stuff. And anyway, so did you get the thing I sent you, Alex? What you're looking at here, and will probably be show art, is
that's so cool.
A really cool
and
game for children. And now in the later years of the 70s, after these had been completely discontinued for reasons that will become apparent, America was in love with a game called Jarts. Jarts, which is a very cool word. And do you get my back on what a cool mid to late 60s box this is?
Oh, great logo, great tagline.
Are you able to infer the game? Let's take cornhole, but make a giant weighted. Each of these weigh like half a pound, Alex. And do you understand what I was saying earlier about you throw this thing? It's like a sandbag, but it's got a handle, so it gets a trajectory. You know what I'm saying? These. So what we're looking at here, imagine a dart, like for a dartboard, where it's got the three. What do they call them? Not fletches, but you got the fins that give it, stability. You've got the shaft, and then at the end of the shaft is a big ass weight, probably made of lead. And then just past the big lead weight is a 2 or 3 inch long sharpened piece of metal, because it's a lawn dart. So what you do is you get these little fake plastic hula hoop things you put on the ground, and like a cornhole, or as you say, bags. And you take it in turns to throw your jart and lob it in the air and try and land it inside the circle. And there were rules. This is jarts. It's not nom. There were rules. So I'm sorry. Also, I'm not comparing it to the most obvious thing that is similar to, which is horseshoes. So when we throw horseshoes, you get different points. Is the opening like past the post? Is it leaning? Is it partly inside? So in jarts, you get points for sticking into the ground inside the circle, like being partly inside the circle, but like leaning out or whatever. There are different points. Now, here's the thing, and this is the other part of what makes America great. It's just because you call this jarts or lawn darts and say this is a game for two people to play in a yard, that doesn't mean you're not going to do the thing that every single child did with these. And I imagine you can already guess what that is. You take a jart and you huck it straight up into the air as hard as you can to see how high the jart can go. Ooh, it goes. Imagine it being like a Wile E. Coyote thing, like whoop, beep, punk, and you see how you've done good you're not doing targets. You're going for depth. You're seeing how far you can get your jart to stick into the ground because of how high you threw it in the air.
So were there like lawn rules where if it was like sticking straight, like full on 90 degrees, you were like,
This is a very rarefied Lonely Boy version of this game, which is you're in an area near where your rented home is, and you just throw these up in the air for a couple hours with your friends. Now, I'm not a scientician, but it is my belief, based on evidence, that some of you can probably imagine what occasionally happened when a bunch of unsupervised children in 1975 threw a 1 pound metal munition into the air with multiple children around. You know what happens is it goes straight into the top of some kid's head. Or shoulder, but often head.
Were there any, tonight at 10 type stories? Like, was there ever any sort of moral
I know. I'm already with you. Yeah, I think that's kind of what happened. Well, I'm not going to go on about this, but you look at something like the era before Ralph Nader, and the Corvair, Unsafe at Any Speed. That is, at least in my readings of it, kind of, I think that's considered one of at least the white guy version of when consumer advocacy and the notion of consumer protection started really kicking in, because the whole point of that book and that project was, hey, look, this happened with other kinds of cars later. The way that these cars are designed, in the case of the Corvair, if it gets rear-ended, there's a chance it could, I think, explode or at least catch on fire. And Chevy was like not doing anything about it. And so that's how we know, well, apart from also ruining the most consequential election of our lives, that's how we all know Ralph Nader.
It's like...
So, but there was, and then what's funny is, you probably haven't watched it yet, but I recommend to everybody out there who has good taste and likes comedy, the special about Jim Downey on Peacock called Downey Wrote That. I really recommend it. It's really good. If you like the thing, with the New York financier, Jeffrey Epstein, with him on Conan, that guy.
Fan.
Because I still have a very specific recollection of something I now know Jim Downey wrote, and it was a running bit in the first or second season of SNL, maybe later, but it was a bit with Jane Curtin and Dan Aykroyd, and there was like an interview show, and this guy, and his name was, I'm see if I can do this from memory, I'm not going to look at Irving Mainway, the founder and owner of Mainway Enterprises or Mainway Toys. And there's this hilarious bit where she has this guy on to talk about all of his unsafe toys for children. And it's so, for the time especially, it was so weird and so goddamn funny. Dan Aykroyd comes out there and he's like, he says, well, and you're marketing to children. It is a bag of broken pieces of glass. Yeah, that's right. That's Johnny Bag of Glass. That's one of our most popular items. But the best
I remember this.
You know what you remember
like
is Johnny
DVDs.
Space Commander. Johnny Space Commander is where you take the dry cleaning bag and put it over your head and inhale. Because at the time, I mean, I opened a thing. The bag that was around my new gallon of silica beads, and it says the same thing that every bag now says. This bag is not a toy. Mm-hmm. Because, at least according to what I learned at the time, a lot of kids were being injured and perishing because, in particular, people were using dry cleaning bags, which is to say the clear plastic bags that go over your dry cleaning when you bring it home. They're using it to line cribs. Because if you think about it, it makes a ton of sense.
Yeah,
because you're not going to get wee on there. So, reuse is better than recycling. But the problem was if a little kid's face is on that plastic, it's really bad. And then there's that wonderful scene in I want to say the first season of Mad Men where Sally and her brother are playing and dressing up. And she's dressed her brother up in a dry cleaning bag. So there was the 70s where like when people, and let alone all the Watergate and CIA stuff that was coming out, but it was a time when, people were more and more aware of these kinds of things. And I remember even at the time being like, you've got to be kidding me. You can't buy jarts anymore. Of course they're dangerous. That's why it's fun. But that's, when I was a child, I spoke as a child and I thought as a child and I threw weighted darts in the air at my friends.
I mean, darts are still quite a thing in pubs in the UK, which I didn't know. But on television, they're not falling over drunk in the funniest, best accents you've ever heard. So I wonder if kind of like pickleball has come back, which I always thought of as like a children's sport.
I'd never heard of it until people were mad about it. I think it looks fun. It looks fun. It's like it's just little tennis, right? Kind of.
I'm not going to ask.
It's little tennis with a wiffle ball.
I don't need to know why people are mad about it. I don't
because
know.
people, I'm happy to tell you at least why people here are mad. Oh, people here are mad about everything, but two reasons I know. One is that the practical thing for people who play tennis is that those courts are now being used for pickleball, and that frustrates people who want to go play tennis because they're fancy white people who are used to getting the court when they want. But the other one is also apparently the noise that pickleball makes is particularly noisome to people who live nearby in a way that the pock of tennis doesn't.
This is too close to the challenge. Good Lord!
What is?
Just that I absolutely understand the reaction.
Are you the Karen?
No.
Ask yourself. Are you the Karen in this story? Because I watched that movie and kept thinking, I have been the Karen in this story, and I hate myself. Oh, come on. You've never narked on somebody. You've never called the cops on somebody who was annoying. You've never threatened somebody because they were just annoying you. We should save it for the show.
No. Honestly, no. But there's a lot of it's not that I haven't wanted to, which I think is a very different thing.
I have a very specific one in mind that I still, the only word for it is I feel ashamed about.
That's
where one time I called the cops on this kid that was having a party next door, and my kid was super sick and couldn't sleep because, 14 inches away, there was a big hip hop party going on. And it was a pretty nice. I liked the parents. I didn't know the son, but I liked the parents. And it was an African American family living next door to us. And I don't know. I tried to hit it off with the kids, and it didn't really work. But I did finally call the cops, and because I'd gone over there, and they were doing that. Oh, we're teenagers, and we can get away with stuff thing. And it made me so fucking mad because I went over to be really nice and polite about it. I guess we're
okay.
And they didn't. And I was like, well, in that case, I don't need to be civil. I'll have you put into some kind of institution, young man.
Actually, no, that's where.
But my baby couldn't sleep and I was crazy. I'm not saying I'm not trying to excuse it, because if you remember the way this whole anecdote began, this is one of the most shameful moments in my life. I'm just being honest. But I've wanted to narc people out. Oh, fuck me. People that used to go through our trash cans, it would drive me crazy because it bugged me that they were making this huge racket with our trash cans, but it also really bugged me because they would make a giant mess. They would dump out any liquids that they didn't want to recycle. And so we would have to listen to somebody perform this like Steve Reich piece in front of our house for 25 minutes. And then we'll go out there and there's just all these pools of yogurt and jizz or whatever.
Oh, good Lord.
I think I might be close to finding this shirt. And I'll be so happy if I do.
The Chinatown shirt?
Yeah. I'm almost there. Collegiate, hometown spirit, occupation tees, culture. I am at, so a short name for Cincinnati, Ohio is Cincy, Cincy. So I am at cincyshirts.com. And oh my gosh, they have so much stuff. Oh my God, the Florence
Is this like
Mall.
Redbubble for cities?
If it helps, sure. Or you could just look at it for what it is. Cincinnati. Where's my Chinatown? Oh, I don't see the Chinatown anymore. Maybe it was just too racist. The problem is you buy a Chinatown shirt and you want to buy another one again an hour later.
Dig Dug, do you want to just get this challenge out of the way?
I wouldn't put it that way, but I'm happy to do the challenge. Am I getting that you did not like this movie?
I don't know
challenge
how
this
to
week.
describe.
Okay. The challenge this week is to watch. Okay, but you're an adult, and you can appreciate, as somebody who I memory serves. Let me check my notes here. I think you went to film school. You can appreciate the bravura, artfulness of like Adam Curtis taking a bunch of footage you don't control and turning it into a story. That's fucking crazy.
And I can also be made uncomfortable about how that footage was gotten, what the consent was.
I was happy about all of that.
Involved.
Yeah, I was happy about all of those parts. Makes me sad I watched it, actually.
No, it's...
Okay, let's get started. The challenge... Okay, please don't make a noise for a minute. Hey, everybody. The challenge this week was to watch The Perfect Neighbor, which is a movie on Netflix that I thought was super interesting, and I couldn't stop talking about it last week, so it seemed obvious to suggest that Alex watch that. So, Alex, tell me about your experience with The Perfect Neighbor. Do we want to describe briefly what this is? May I briefly describe what it is? Do you mind?
Please do, because in the after show, I actually said, never heard anything about this movie. Just nope, don't tell me anything. I'm going to go watch it immediately. And I did immediately watch it after we stopped recording.
There's two really distinctive things. It's a documentary, if you like. It's a real life documentary thing. But there's two things that I think make this quite distinctive. I mentioned a minute ago Adam Curtis. He's a filmmaker that I like a lot, an English filmmaker who I don't want to say exclusively, but almost exclusively makes very compelling documentary. He makes very compelling documentaries using almost exclusively footage from the BBC archive, which can be stuff like stories they ran in the 60s or 70s, but it could also, a lot of it, the most amazing stuff is just B-roll that's been sitting in the BBC archive for years, and he finds a use for it and puts a song over it, and like it's... You've seen hyper-normalization, or you've seen some of those, right?
Oh, yes, many times. And I think we've mentioned it, but I adore it, so we're going to mention it again.
Yeah.
Russia, 1985 to 1999,
which
Trauma
is
Zone.
awesome, but you do have to really... You got to turn everything off. And I want to say it's almost silent, by which I just mean there's almost not a single word of English in the whole thing, and there's not even that many words, except for the words that are on screen a lot. So Trauma Zone is fucking amazing, but sometimes when I try to rewatch it, I'm like, not tonight. But it's a really astonishing. I Can't Get You Out of My Head. That's another amazing one. I think I've seen everything he's done, but you watch it and you go, oh, it's really cool. Yeah, whatever. But I don't know how he gets that access to the BBC archive. I don't know how that works out, but I've always marveled at how you could take just footage you don't control and use it to tell a story. And, whether you tell that story well or accurately or not is perhaps a separate matter. But, and so here's the pitch my pitch to you guys on The Perfect Neighbor. Let me start with the technical part. This is a hour and a half or so long movie that exists. I'm going to say over 60% of the movie is footage from police body cams. The reason I didn't say 90% is there actually is a fair amount of very tasteful sort of like interstitial, current real-time B-roll. There's also footage from cameras in police stations. But the idea is it's almost all from the POV of what police cameras captured about a series of events that happened in where was it?
Oh, Florida, but I forget where.
I think it's near Ocala.
Exactly.
It's kind of central. So it's Marion County, which at first, for some reason, I was thinking is the East Coast, but I think it's near Ocala. And it's this neighborhood of mostly working class black and brown people. And this one woman who lives there, and she doesn't like the kids doing what they do in her neighborhood. So just to pull this all together, it's what ends up being a very upsetting, spoilers, whatever. It ends up being a very upsetting story about a crime that happens, a murder at least a manslaughter that happens, where this white woman, the only white woman in the neighborhood, shot a mother of 4 because she didn't like her kids playing football in the next yard. But the build up, and there's so many levels we can attack this on. I mean, just like some of those cops were such a piece of shit. And then some of them seemed like pretty nice. And then some of them seemed like they just wanted to be liked. But like, I love that African-American cop lady, even though I didn't love it when she said, "That's why I bought a house." But you can see through, and here's the beauty part, is they've got coverage. Because if they send 2 cops out, right? If they send 2 cops out to like go, see what the Karen's mad about, you've got...
Can you guess my favorite shot of the movie?
You've got 2 different cops with cameras. So some of the times you can see one of the cops because it's the other cop's camera picking them up as well as the people they're talking to. Your favorite shot, her sitting alone in the room at the police station?
Oh, I mean, that's
I'm just
a
guessing.
good guess.
I don't know.
But it is when
the black guy starts laughing about how there's no way that Izzy could pick up that dog.
We've seen the dog. We have seen the dog. It's a giant ass poodle. Because
oh my God, how much do you love every single one of the children in this?
And I don't mean to actually, but I do think it's important to note that it does seem like a majority black and brown neighborhood, but we see many, not many, but there's a number.
We see several. We see
one very prominent.
Those tattoos are doing her no favors. No, I mean, in some cases, I think
I liked her tattoos.
There's a couple where I'm pretty sure it's a white lady who has children from a black man or a Hispanic man, but they are on the continuum of the great American spectrum. I think I would consider, and they would probably consider themselves, much more aligned. I don't know. It's none of my fucking business. What I do know is she sticks out like a sore thumb, and she's, you know how I never say evil, and I prefer to say wicked, because I think wicked's a better word than evil in most cases, and I think we've talked about this before. But I'm gonna use a third word. She's villainous. She's one of the most villainous nonfiction characters I've ever seen in my life. And the reason I found this movie so compelling, in addition to how it was made, is because I see so much of what I hate about myself in that woman, who always calls the cops on kids and then greatly exaggerates, on the one hand, greatly exaggerates what the kids are doing, sometimes to unbelievable levels, while also underplaying the bullshit that she has been doing that everybody sees. By calling the various words, the R word, the N word, the B word, the F word, ASS. She called these little kids the R word. She's called them the N word. She said that get out of that area. That's not the Underground Railroad.
I missed that part.
Oh no, there's one where you get when she said and so I called them. I'm not gonna say the word, but and so I called them R words, and then because they were acting like that, they come over here, and they annoy me. And they're screaming their heads off.
She defends the use of all of the words she uses.
All right, sorry. I've talked a lot. Let me give you the chance to.
Wait, my favorite shot is a moment where 2 cops are looking at one another, and they know that shit is going to go. Shit's going to go down because they've been to this neighborhood so many times with this white woman.
At this point, they're commiserating with the locals about it, and oh no, we know this lady. We know.
Yeah, because they know something crazy is going to happen, and they're going to need to go throughout the neighborhood. She goes, "Is your body cam on?" And he's like, "Oh yeah," and then it switches to his body cam, and that's when we sort of first see the intercutting between the 2 characters, when it's this is the dog
the two cops who often will split up and go talk to different groups of people at the same time.
All of the, like you said, there are many types of cops in this movie, but all of them are a perfect example why cops should not and cannot act as social workers, and the amount of times they have to try to do that.
I mean, I'm not defending cops, but they don't get to pick that role. But I absolutely agree with you. But there's, and I don't know. I mean, like, we've got things here where, like, these people run around in high visibility vests, and they're like a community ambassadors or whatever. And, I mean, there's an example. There's a story I've talked about a lot because it's stuck in my memory for a pretty long time. I've tried to find it before, but I have a pretty clear recollection of a story about that gives you some idea of why unhoused people why it's such a problem here. Well, first of all, like, the housing is just one of like 6 things that's a problem, including mental health, including, access to resources, including drug interdiction, like all these different kinds of things. But there was a guy who would sleep, I think, in the same store's doorway in the Castro, somewhere near the Castro. And every time the cops would go to rouse him out of there, and he'd make a big mess, and because he had a lot of problems, he would throw feces and blood at the cops every time they came to and so basically every time somebody called the cops to come get this guy, I want to give you the whole thing here. You call the cops, they come, and within a couple minutes of these cops arriving, and then more cops arriving because they love calling in their friends, you have a biohazard scene. So every time they needed to take this sky anywhere, whether it's for, I mean, he was I think he was schizophrenic probably, right? And probably a little bit. So, you've seen people on the streets who are like all bloody. Maybe they've gotten beat up. Maybe they've hurt themselves. You don't know. But this guy was always a mess. Sometimes they'd have to take him to SF General. Sometimes, obviously, they take him to the police station. But whatever they had to do, it cost something like $10,000 just to like deal with the biohazard part. And then within a couple hours, he was back in the doorway. And that is in no way to say like, oh, that means he should be sent to, one of Donald Trump's, crime islands. But just that, because he's working on that now. Did you see that in Utah? See what he's doing in Utah? Oh, yeah. Oh, he's got a plan. He's got a plan. He's going to have camps where he sends people for getting help with drugs. Yeah. It's a real Angel Island type situation. So that always stuck in my mind because that's just obviously, and again, that's one anecdote, one snapshot. I don't have the article in front of me, but it gives you an idea of what, let me just say, it reminds me of The Wire. Like, we can talk about The Wire and haha, and it was this great show, but the thing you get from The Wire, especially through the 2nd and 3rd season, is how difficult it is to get anything done. And it's not in spite of the connectedness of the city, it's because of the connectedness of the city.
What do you mean by that? Sorry.
Well, like, if you look at we Americans,
the cops know the.
I'm not saying it's because of corruption. I'm saying that like, well, I mean, there's also got things like there's the human factor in everything, but like we look at it always seems like such a cop out to talk about Europe, especially like Northern European countries that have figured out ways to deal with these things that are different than how we deal with things. Sweden.
But there's stabbings. So many stabbings.
Sweden and the Netherlands come to mind for having a different approach to these kinds of problems than we have here. But, that's for another day. That's a lot to figure out. But I say not in spite of, but because of the connectedness, we're like, okay, guess what? You got to go, guess what? You can't go home. You're going to miss your kids' play because you got to go fill out a form at this thing. And then that form gets passed on to somebody who's not there. It's like in adolescence where like they got to call in the nurse to come in early and she's pissed off. There is a system for dealing with stuff, but it is a bureaucratic system for making a bureaucracy. It's not a system for making effective government that responds to the dynamic needs of a populace. Do you know what I mean? And so,
yes, honestly, a good like microcosm, a teensy tiny example of this, of how people experience it in the suburbs, I think is weapons, because that's a unique situation. Weapon spoilers, a bunch of kids go missing.
Oh, the movie Weapons.
Yeah, and they don't.
I thought you said weapons in the suburbs, and I thought that was about, taking jarts away from children. They got a nice big yard.
They did. It would have been fun.
Yeah.
Gladys out there, like just wrapping her hair around ooh, that'd be nice. Do you 15 minutes into this movie, I wrote down, I'm trying so hard to have any empathy for this woman. Using a tragic backstory reveal is a major pet peeve of mine, but this
Especially
lady
the way
is
she
so
did it.
awful.
Oh my God.
It is so awful. I'm hoping she has a severe mental illness and not
It would be like getting pulled over for speeding and going, I was touched by a priest. You have to let me go.
Yeah. Not just entitled.
Say I was a victim of
sexual
sexual assault and domestic violence, but she just like announces it to the cops in passing as a way to excuse why she calls the police every time children are playing football in a yard that isn't hers. I want to be super clear. And I hate that one cop who was like, well, you called us, we'd come here and blah, blah, blah. And it's like, no, dude, that's actually, I think that's really not right. I think when he's talking to the woman who was killed, who I love. Oh my God.
Oh God.
She's a McDonald's manager with 4 kids.
Yeah. And in the last, either way, it looks like she's someone who lives in so much in anger and fear that she's going to end up killing somebody.
But when that fucking cop said that, so basically what happens
is, I thought it was going to be a kid.
She's saying, oh, me too. I thought it was going to be Izzy. So this one cop who I didn't particularly like is saying to her, she's saying, look, that woman over there, she rents that house and there's a yard next to hers that isn't her yard. And anyway, whatever. This is the dumb shit you have to do when you're living with people. And the cop's like, yeah, but like if somebody was over here playing or like making noise near your house and you called us, we'd have to like. And is that really, really true? But you see her in that moment where she makes a decision to go. She smiles. And she does a black woman thing.
Know.
She brings down the temperature. And she like plays it off legit because she knows she's not going to win this, and she probably doesn't want to be dragged off to jail in front of her kids. The guy on the driveway. Just point of information: the guy on the driveway talking about Izzy and the dog, I really liked, and in a much darker, absolutely existentially crushing scene near the end of the movie, there's another black man. Those are different men, right? And B, which one is the second man who's breaking the news is their father? Is that correct?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Because at first watching of this, I thought the charming guy in the driveway was the same guy, but that guy seems a lot younger.
Yeah.
Than the guy at the end.
I was looking like stuff about this story, just making sure that like this documentary was absolutely as horrific as I thought. Sorry, when I mean horrific, the
story is unbelievably sad and frustrating.
Yes, and accurately told from
what'd you find?
Just that there were a lot of just what you would expect, like intermixing of couples and people lived. When I say lived at each other's houses, you would consider people family.
These people do not. These people. That was one of her terms.
Oh boy.
No, but listen. The people in this neighborhood, I have a feeling they do not come from generational wealth. I have a feeling they do not have a lot of continuity of care in their life. And like a lot of Americans, I suspect that they probably don't have 6 months of income saved up. And they live pretty close to what we might consider the edge. They're a middle class, working class, not middle class, but I would say they're an upper or like a lower middle class family, maybe. A lot of them. Living in rented, like just kind of above mobile home quality duplexes.
The thing that hit me was how, and it made me feel, you did a great explanation of jealousy versus envy. Jealousy is when
my version of it anyway is envy is when I want something that you have. And oh boy, can I do this? Let me do this because I don't know if this is right, but it's really clever. Envy is when I want something that you've got, and jealousy is when I don't want you to have something neither of us has.
Okay.
Or like I'm envious of your hot wife, but I'm jealous of my wife's attention. As in, I don't want other men. You know, no, dude, I'm just sorry. I'm just saying words
I'm
that make
laughing
sense.
because it's such an
We say jealous
good
for all of those, and that's
distinction.
fine. You know,
No, because
she's jealous of these happy families.
I am yes. Like, and I'm watching this envious of the community these people have because it reminds
Can you
me
fucking believe
so
it?
much. Yes,
And the way the second woman they talk to starts like saying she didn't throw the sign, and a little girl pops up. I love little girls who are like always doing gymnastics. Like they're such little kids, and she goes, "No, she did throw the sign."
Yes,
she comes up and
my
corrects
God.
her. It's so good.
Every kid in this is.
But you think of that, it takes a village to raise a child, and this really, that's such a cliche for the last 30 years, but you really.
And a true one. Or, I mean, not, I don't know.
Yeah, but I mean, coming
biased.
from Hillary Clinton, I don't know if that was the best place to hear it. That's how that phrase got a lot of
I know,
currency.
I
But
know,
I don't want to talk about that. But it really does feel like that.
No,
Remember, the woman says, which of these, they say something as indecorous as, which of these kids are yours? And then she responds by saying, like, they're all mine or they're all kind of mine. As in, like, I mean, this is, as I understand it anyway, there's a pretty old thing in African-American communities in America, of, like, largely, especially, families run mainly by women, where women and men, but especially women, look out for each other's kids or discipline each other's kids. And I think that's part of where the "it takes a village" thing comes from, is that if you have the resource. We went to my kid's track meet 2 days ago, cross country, and you can tell the school my kid goes to is a public school. And no shade, no lemonade, but like you can tell the other schools have such better funding. And something I said to my wife, you can tell how many, through a variety of reasons, all the way from what DSLR you bring to like what kind of Patagonia you're wearing. You can tell that a lot of these people have.
Sorry, what's SLR?
A single lens. Front camera.
I did okay. Sorry,
but you know what they've got is. And something that we have that is somewhat rare, honestly, which is the flexibility to be at a track meet at 4 p.m. in Golden Gate Park. And you vote with your feet when you have that kind of independence. And like, I'm not sure what my point is about this, but wait, what was I talking about? The village, but and so
just a community of raising a bunch of kids and
if you've
parents
got the
agreeing on a set of values.
If you've got the resources in America, like you may not even realize how much stuff is easier for you than it is for other people. But this woman who on more than one occasion is kind of reminding us, she calls herself a doctor, and even though apparently no one's been able to figure out anything she does, she's like an insurance person or whatever. But she is kind of like big timing the people and the cops a lot. And I guess from the beginning is like, I'm going to move out of this place. Blah, and I might buy this place, but now I've changed my mind. She sounds like she's in a different world. Whether or not that's true, whether or not that's, you notice how rarely any of those black and brown people big time about money or power or flexibility. As my friend Dan used to say when we were in college, you are your options. One of the smartest things I've ever heard someone say. You are your options. And like, well, their options. If you've got 4 kids and are a single mom who manages a McDonald's, I mean, that's, first of all, goddamn, that's, you should get something. You should get something special. But she's probably doing better than some of those other families, I'm guessing. But like, her options are not the same as a single angry woman with a gun who hates kids. That woman has a lot more options, not least that she has the skin color to get more credibility with people. I mean, again, like the various times where they have to go to her door and like get her to talk to the cops for some reason or other. I imagine you thought the same thing I did. On at least one or two of those, I thought the cliche that's true that everybody should be thinking, if that was a 19-year-old black man, it would have gone very differently.
Mm-hmm. And in the end, it does go differently because but she's from the jump. She's complaining. She's complaining about how cold the room is. She's complaining about like everything is like from her POV, and like, you know, she's going to get you in trouble because you're not being nice to her. And the way that these kids call her a Karen, like white people have taken Karen to mean like a funny, yeah. But the way they say it is both like incredibly funny and also like she is a villain. Like the way you said a villain, it's like that's a villain.
Exactly. Or like, honestly, like the boogeyman, where you see like the boogeyman did it.
Yeah. It's like she's the Boo Radley. If I wanted. There is a point too where there's footage of some cop talking to a guy. This isn't really explained, and I couldn't find more information about it. She runs into a fence, like she is trying to get out of a.
There's something where her gray Nissan truck, you're right, there's not a lot of detail because they don't have coverage of that. But what happens is we come in cold, smash cut, and it's the cops, again with body cams, responding to a guy who's like, hey, what the hell? Like somebody who was parked in my, I assume, parking area or business area, and like a fence, it closed off the fence. You can't go in, you can't go out. And somebody tried to knock down my damn fence trying to get out. Hey, if you're stuck in here, everybody knows you just call and I let you out. But I don't know who did this. This is crazy. And they very quickly identify that it's the Karen that did it, acting like a goddamn crazy person.
Because they know it's the pickup truck where
she's
the
been
boy
assaulted.
tried to put
She's
the
been
dog
assaulted
in
in the past,
That's the first time she pulls out the "I've been assaulted," and I just saying that like I have a panic instinct to any situation where I feel like it applies. I can tell you that my reaction to that was an irrational panic that you should excuse because of something that happened to me. I don't have a strong opinion on that, but I think that's kind of what. No, Merlin, I truly came into this thinking like there has to be not an excuse, but some sort of explanation, like something
for why she's how she is.
Just something that could give me an ounce of like, that's my fucking thing is context and empathy. And I'm like, what?
I don't know, man. I think it's right in front of you. I think it's right in front of you.
Yeah.
You've never, so let's leave you out of this because you are without sin. But has anybody out there ever made weird excuses ad hoc? Okay, let's be nice about it. Have you ever found yourself coming up with like, you kind of like straighten up your back and you get very serious and you give a very serious reason for why something happened, or put slightly differently, you give a very serious reason for why you had to do something. I did that because I had to do that and like, that's what I'm talking about. Like I had to call the cops on that kid because my baby was, and like I could say that to a cop, and as a white guy in his 40s, they would be sympathetic to that more so to me than an underage kid having an underage kid party right next to a police station. But anyway, I think that's part of what I saw in myself. And honestly, if I'm being honest, Alex, I'm trying to take the hit on this, but I see a lot of my family in this. Not the hateful, racist part, though that's there. They weren't all hateful, but they were definitely racist in ways they didn't understand or couldn't understand living in Cincinnati in the 50s and 60s. I mean, I don't think people were actively encouraged to sort of problematize or examine, like, the way that they talk about and treat people. And, I mean, God, I was just watching a documentary on the 1992 LA stuff, and it begins by playing some actual radio of cops, basically, what do they call that when you're like a dispatcher? Of cops actually dispatching other cops during what became known as the Watts riots. And in each of the clips they played, the dispatcher would refer to how many people and what kind of weapons. And in every instance, he would say it's 4 N-words with a sawed-off shotgun. It's 3 N-words. He was very comfortable doing that over the radio in 1965. So again, see also Merlin's thing about please don't try to retroactively change history to make yourself feel more comfortable. It wasn't just in the 90s. It goes back to the 60s. It goes back. That's just what we have recordings of in that instance. But
how little I knew.
Her.
I think that's really wise, though, don't you think?
I hope
not to cover you in glory.
No, and it's not to say that I'm better at it. It's just we all need reminders of ways we could be less of a piece of shit, which then puts us in a position to now know we might very well be a piece of shit. And exploring that further on our terms is something that's valuable for all of us to do. And the problem, in my opinion, the problem is that I don't think yelling at people about how they are makes a lot of difference. If it ever made a difference, I don't think it's making a difference now. You know, women yelling about women's lib in the 70s made men so fucking mad that like it became like, in terms of effectiveness, like it wasn't effective. And like yelling at other people and calling them racist or calling them Nazis or like, I'm not saying, I don't have all I'm trying to say is it's not effective. Like if somebody called you a Nazi, would you spend the rest of the weekend thinking about what you could do better? Maybe. And that's what makes you different. Like a lot of people wouldn't. And like I'm on a journey, like a lot of you. And I can see moments in my past where I have made terrible decisions without realizing how privileged I was in that given situation. And it really, and I see my mom, to be honest. She's always mad about like the people who work in her building don't speak English. And it's just like every call with her is just excruciating to me because she's 90. Mm-hmm. She's not us. She's an old lady from Cincinnati. And for those of you from Cincinnati, you can figure out what that means. She's not an old lady from Columbus. She's not an old lady from Toledo. And if you don't know those distinctions, that's okay. Cincinnati, very, very conservative town. I've said on more than one occasion because Cincinnati butts right up against, it's on the Ohio River, right? And it is right at where Ohio, Kentucky, and Indiana meet. And I think what I said one time was that Cincinnati is like if Kentucky and Indiana got drunk one night and made a racist baby.
Oh, that's a...
So like in Indiana, when you go out to Indiana and you're going to drive to Indianapolis or whatever, it's like even in Cincinnati, like even going to Kings Island, as soon as you are outside of town, even just a little bit, like going toward Middletown where JD's from, like even when you're out of town, you will see barns with Confederate flags on them, like a lot of barns with a lot of Confederate flags, either chewing tobacco ads back in the day or like Red Man ads or like Confederate flags. Well, a Confederate flag in Indiana? Fucking A, yes. Confederate flags in Indiana. Well, no, but I don't see, because you think Confederate flag, what are you thinking? What's the first thing that comes to mind? Like, well, without dragging any particular state, you think of that as a deep South phenomenon, maybe like an Alabama thing, right? But you think there's more Confederate flags in Indiana than Alabama?
No, I think there are more openly racist. I think there are
more people who should know better. That's for damn sure.
Yeah, like people who are like, I am doing this. But
the Klan had a huge
purpose.
presence around that area in my lifetime.
Was it like a presence as in literally going out hoods full of? Or
I can't speak to that, but I mean people.
I shouldn't say. I mean,
like conducting pogroms on black people. Yeah, no, I don't think it was like a Malcolm X type Klan. But what I am saying is like people who are a little bit older than you by a couple years, well, by several years anyway, a couple years before you were born. Was it David Dukes? Or David Duke was running, maybe he was 92, but David Duke ran for president, and he used to be like a kind of a big gun in the KKK, and he got support because, I mean, to some people, look at D.W. Griffith. To a lot of people, the Klan was a savior. And to other people, the Klan, like a lot of men's organizations, is not the kind of thing one loves, but it's the kind of thing one puts up with.
Yeah.
And it's like, I'm not trying to minimize it, but I am saying like, just because you've seen Malcolm X and are very woke as a person in their 20s or 30s, what you don't know is what a community was like at a given time and what enables you to conduct yourself in a certain way, to think in a certain way, and in some ways, let's be honest, to like speak in a certain way that you know you're not going to get pushback from anybody around you, even in a business context.
Mm-hmm. Well, you remember, or maybe remember my character, character Martha, where I would pretend to be an uppity straight lady who is very
It's a persona you would take on with customer service people, right?
Yes.
To get something done.
Especially men who would not listen to just this random kid they were talking to. And then I was like, I would basically be like, oh God, I am so sorry. My boss needs this thing and she's going to call if I don't get this hotel number. And I thought about a recent, I think the last Roderick on the Line episode you did, where he got very emotional with the front desk because he couldn't get and I often think about the Martha and how, because I'm sure I veered into like I feel like I deserve this type of territory because I mean sometimes it feels like you do deserve to just get the fucking hotel number. Like, just tell me what's in the conference
Oh my God,
room.
there's the latest episode of 99
please.
PI. It's so fucking good. It's about the somewhat either known or deliberate failures of customer service systems and like how there's things that are a feature, not a bug, like disconnecting calls and stuff like that. If you think of it, put that in notes. It's really good. But that's, that feeds into it.
And I've fallen out of fashion. Well, I've also done that, but I have not kept up with all of the new tips and tricks of hospitality staff, and that they're I haven't listened to this episode, but when you're working in hospitality, kind of like how we've talked about the Ritz-Carlton and the higher the more upscale the place, typically the more agency you have to do whatever your customers want, and
it's like deal with this sometimes chaotic or unexpected aspects of what customers claim to need in a way that's a little bit out of the box. And also to deal with the God, what did Broderick say? The yes sir type of situation where at some point someone is going to be so angry at you in a customer service and some sort of customer service interaction where all you can say is yes sir, and you've lost all agency. And just going back to what I ended up watching this film twice. I watched it this morning and I still don't know how you watch it multiple times because it's a very well made film. And I'm relieved.
But very...
So you found it frustrating to watch? Just because of how she was and how it went? Or as well as how much cops suck?
No. I mean, I don't want to say that's an obvious...
Sorry, that was a lot of words to put in your mouth. I didn't mean to do that. Sorry.
I mean, like, yes, obviously. No, I actually love
obviously, let's think it's red cops suck.
No, I loved the, not depiction of cops, just... That is how cops are, and the various levels of empathy. And again, it is not to defend cops, but showing how the black woman cop has to act versus the guy who can basically blow it off and be like, I don't fucking care. I want to get back in my truck.
And the way that guy talks, everything he says sounds like it's just short of a dare. Like that cop, where he's like, I'm going to put this very plainly, and if you fucking say anything about it, something bad might happen. Is how it kind of felt.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. And
the next guy was nice though. The guy who was talking about being out of school and stuff, he seemed kind of cool.
Well,
he wasn't being horrible to the kids, is what I'm saying.
Oh, no.
Most adults talk to kids like they're idiots, let alone a cop.
I thought it was very cute how it seemed like he was the kind of guy who was talking to kids in a normal way, who might have a kid but just doesn't really know how to talk to kids in a very, very wholesome way, where sometimes I'm like trying to relate to a kid, like, hey, you in school yet? I hear you're back to school.
You got a girlfriend?
But but it was another example of none of these people are social workers. And this was a situation where over and over and over again, I'm not saying that would have fixed anything, but how they just are like, God, they know the drill. They know that the angry white lady, who is not as unhinged as I thought she would be, she's just some words I'm trying to use less because of its internalized misogyny. And I don't think it's nice that I use them against women.
You use a B word.
Yeah, I'm covering myself with glory. No, just a fucking psycho cunt. And just they are aware of what's happening. And eventually, I don't want to say they dilly-dally, but they know what the deal is. And one night, like
do people know the cops are allowed to lie to them? I think there are people who don't.
Most white people.
I think most white people do not know that not only are cops allowed to lie to you, but, and it's the reason I've told my kid never talk to a cop, because if you're talking to a cop, it's already too late. If you're talking to a cop, they are already looking at ways to be able to arrest you and have you convicted of a crime. If they're talking to you, it's too late. I mean, in maybe 70% of situations, if you're a white kid, you'll probably be fine. But you have to go into every situation with a cop, because maybe you look good for that, as I'm using phrases from TV now. Maybe you look good for that crime in a way nobody else does right now. Whether that's vandalism or, whatever it is, you might look good for that crime right now, and they could close that case real fast and get home, in time to watch Cops on TV or whatever. You know what I mean? But cops are... it's my understanding that cops are, and this is why there's that wonderful thing that has been watched over 20 million times, why you should never talk to the police, that video on YouTube. Whether or not all that is true for all places and all times, it was very thought-provoking to me. There's a reason lots of people have watched that, because in the same way as learning about jury nullification is a really good thing to know about, there's these things these Wall Street fat cats don't want you to know. And one is that cops can lie to you, I think, as much as they want. They can claim evidence that they don't have. They can claim people said things. They could claim, like, the claiming evidence they don't have is a big one. And a lot of times you'll see this, especially you saw, what did I call them? It wasn't good cop, bad cop. It was average cop, insufferable cop. Those two cops that were talking to her. There's the one guy who was fine, and the other guy who was like trying to be like the bad cop. And you can say stuff like, for example, and you've seen this on TV shows, you can say, hey, you know what? I've got Mary in that room. I got John in that room. Whoever tells me what happened first walks home tonight. Kind of prisoner's dilemma, if you want to think of it that way. But and the thing is, John and Mary might not be in the building.
Both prisoners, but
John and Mary might not be in the building. They can just say shit to you to get you to do something. And once you have done that, they're going to do everything in their power to make you look bad as a result of that.
They can also say that you have to talk to them, which is
why that scene was, to me, the most fascinating in the movie. Because first of all, we get to see what the uncut shit is. Oh, I'm sorry, what's her name? Carol? Is it Carol?
I don't.
But the woman. Susan
Lawrence.
Is it Lawrence? Yeah. But anyway, Susan. Okay, yeah. So at one point, the cops got to go out and talk to her. I think this one's about the truck, and they can't get her to answer the door. And then there's this jump scare where she like, 1 minute. Remember where she screams, and the cop's like, whoa, geez, what? And then and you know what she's doing, Alex? I'm going to use my word. She tries to be cute. She tries to be cute with the cop, and she tries to do her Karen act while the cop is in mode 1. All right. So she's in pedal to the metal mode 2, and he's in mode 1. So she's going, I'm not coming out. I'm in my nightgown, blah, 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 blah. And the cop's in mode 1, where he's like, okay, well, blah, blah. I just need to be able to, blah, blah, blah. Can you please come out? We need to blah, blah, blah. And now I need to just let you know. You can see the modes are slightly starting to shift, because now he's going into mode 2, and he says, I need to read this to you. Do you want to, you have the right to remain silent, anything you say, can you, do you want to talk to me? No. And that's when that's when the shift happens. Yep. And he suddenly goes very high status and goes, okay, well, let me explain what's going to happen. I'm going to go to that guy. And it's funny because he's basically presenting it as, you're making this a pain in the ass for me. And so I'm going to make this really difficult for you. Okay, so you're not going to talk to me about this. That's fine. You said you're not going to talk to me. I just need to let you know, I'm going to get that guy. We're going to put you in a lineup. He's going to choose you as the person who did this crime, and then you're going to be, arrested and charged for this. And that's when she flips into mode 1, right? I don't know. I'm just making up these modes where she's like, whoa. Sorry. Yes, of course I'll talk to you. But he stays in mode 2 and goes, no. You've told me you won't talk to me. So at this point, anything you tell me I can't use, I think was the phrase that he used. But we see how that modality works because the real cop is mode 2. Mode 1 is just to keep things chill. But then you've got to move in for the close. And that's when you remind them that they do not have any power. You are the cop and you have the power. And a lot of what she does in these exchanges is to gently, using some really, honestly, some not psycho, but like using some almost like seduction community shit. She tries to do a lot of little tricks to like use language and different kinds of things to like assert power in the situation. And when she's laid low like that, like, what are you going to do? Bad boys. What you going to do when they come for you? I was like, I hate everybody in this scene so much. She's got no trespassing sign on her sliding door.
It was
People are always trespassing.
might as well have been a lawn dart. The very last this is embarrassing. I take too many notes for this show. That's not true. I care quite a bit. But my just the last thing I kept thinking about is where is this woman's lawyer? That final
she's like, fine, I'll have my lawyer prepare. I'm like, oh Jesus. I think you've got a fancy lawyer like she's got a doctor's degree.
She doesn't even mention a lawyer in that final scene with the what'd you say, the tolerable cop and
was it like average cop, insufferable cop?
Yeah, one is like, we're just being reasonable. Did you Google stand your ground?
Oh, right.
We haven't talked
and they're
about
so good at it. I hate to admit it, but I like watching cops who are good at that.
That's what's scary.
Yeah,
that
they're
is what
really
freaks me the fuck out.
Yeah. Did you watch Adolescence? Remind me.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, and the way, gosh, what a cast. The guy who eats the apples, that one cop. The way that he is slow, he and the woman from Game of Thrones, the way that they are slowly in that final scene, building. And then there's that twist to like, well, would surprise you to know that we've got some video of this. And you're like, huh? Mm-hmm. Wait, you're just telling me about this now? And like, oh yeah, we got video of you. And remember, file drawer effect. They can present anything in evidence that they feel like. And at least, I'll bet you, at least until trial, if there's exculpatory evidence, I bet you're not going to see it while they're fixing to arrest you. I really super doubt that exculpatory evidence makes it into the session. Well, here's several things that prove you didn't do it. And here's one thing that we think proves you did do it. No, they're just not going to mention those other things. Because they want to convict you. That is their job. Their job is not to be your friend. Their job is not to help you get directions, to a tourist. I mean, that's all fine. And this bullshit of saying like there are some good cops. Well, yeah, I mean, there's some good vials of poison probably. Yeah, like that's not what the job is. The job is to do what American cops have been doing for 200 years, which is arrest black people. Mm-hmm. Do you like Jesse Plemons? Do you enjoy him?
Oh yes, he's a villain too often. No, he's a villain.
Well, Billy is. I only think of him as ever being a good guy because all the ways I imprinted on him were as like an innocent and a good. I never saw him as a child actor. I know him from Friday Night Lights and Fargo, but he did just yesterday. I think they released the GQ, really good. One of those. Jesse Plemons breaks down his most iconic characters. And I was saying to Matt and Billy, like, I wasn't sure what I expected him to be like, but I really like how he is. Like, sort of like with the Danny McBride one of these, where I was like, oh man, he's even cooler than I thought. And like Jesse Plemons, he's really thoughtful and really smart. And why am I telling you this? Because that's back to the history
of law enforcement in America.
I'll think of it in a minute, but I will send this to you, and we should put this into notes. He was I know, Killers of the Flower Moon, which I've neither read nor watched, but my kid has both read and watched, and he plays a Texas Ranger, who I guess in the story is like, as things go, a pretty good guy, but he's like, when I got this part, he's so interesting because he talks about what goes into like deciding that he wants to be, in a role. Like he says with Game Night, he read like 2 pages and called his agent, was like, I don't even care. Just get me in this movie. How can that be profitable?
That's fun.
How can that be profitable for Frito-Lay?
That's fun. I like.
That's such a good movie. It's such a good movie. But no, but he's talking about when he did get the role in Killers of the Flower Moon. He, I guess he read the book, and then the way he put it, I think, is that he did a lot of read a book on the history of the Texas Rangers, and wow, insert whistling noise. Do you guys understand why a lot of organized American law enforcement exists? Was at the very least to deal with black people, but really primarily one thing that really kicked it off was catching fugitive slaves. That's why a lot of American law enforcement exists. And if you think I'm being cute about that, look at any series of 5 points in the history of American law enforcement and ask you whether, it's just a few bad apples, or is that actually how the system works? Mm-hmm. Because I bet there's ways to arrest slaves gently and kindly before you repatriate them to the people who sold their children. But no matter how civil you are or how often you give directions at Gettysburg, you're still a fucking piece of shit whose job it is to oppress black people. And just because, you go to church and do Pilates does not make you a good person. You are in a kind of job that requires you to do shit that is super duper fucked up and highlight the worst about humanity and really downplay the better angels of our nature, including your own.
Mm-hmm. It's such a fun challenge.
Madeline gets mad when the team she wants is losing, and she gets angry when she watches something like this. We watched Alone. I think we watched it. I can tell you we watched it last Wednesday because Billy was at a thing, so we had the night to ourselves. I was like, "Do you want to see this thing?" She got madder and madder as we watched it. She's like, "I hate this woman so much." And each time I would say, "I hate her too," but don't you see any of yourself as having a role in that hatred? You don't like to say that to somebody you love, but I love myself, and I saw myself all over that woman.
So when I say, I absolutely, immediately you see yourself, I think, is by you, hi, I'll do the unseemly thing and address the audience.
Just the white ones. Just talk to the white ones.
Just hello.
Hello.
Hello, 3 female listeners.
Oh, hello, you there.
2.5 black listeners.
I'm Alex, and I would like you to encourage you to use your white woman's voice to tell stories of travels with African men. Please put a link to Colonizer by Tune Yards in here. I use my white woman's voice. To interpret my travels with African men.
God.
I turn on my white woman's voice to contextualize acts of my white women friends. I cry my white woman tears, carving grooves in my cheeks to display what I meant. I smell the blood in my voice. I smell the blood in my voice, especially the blood in my voice. Now, Meryl Garbus, didn't Tune Yards do it's 99 PI? Isn't there some show Meryl Garbus did the song for?
I
remember somebody always saying our themes by Tune Yards, Meryl Garbus.
Oh shit! Fuck.
Yeah, that's all right. It's not critical.
I will find. I'll ask the dingus later.
Final Judgments.
No, you see it. So
is this a sad mad movie, a bad mad movie, or a movie you kind of mad about?
Watching this, you can see yourself in this woman immediately, and just recognize
the way she papers everything over with her feelings, her emotions.
Yes.
She uses her emotions in a way that a black woman never could, or a black man. Mm-hmm. She uses her emotions to chide people for asking her to behave in a more civil way, which is so fucked up.
And to...
I'm trying to think emotions were a bad idea.
That's...
what? Okay, sorry, one thing. You keep going.
No, dang it. I just...
Hello, everybody. I'm JJ Crumbletops, and I want these children to not be playing in the next yard.
That's so funny.
I was told that no one was supposed to be in the area. Hi, I'm JJ Crumbletops. I'm late for work, creating the most delicious crumbles and dipping sauces at any dead mall in all of the Chicagoland area.
I don't know who this character is.
580 to 300 Empire. I didn't like when they added the 800. Because back when I would watch WGN in the 80s, it would just be it would just be like they did the guy. There was the guy, and then the cartoon version of the guy that they added later. But the guy would go, "Hey, Empire Carpets, we'll have your carpet in tomorrow," and he would go, "Call 588-2300 Empire," and then they had to jam in the toll free, and they took out the beautiful call and changed it to 800-588-2300.
Oh, I retract.
You remember that
never
one? You
heard
remember
that version.
Yeah.
No, I don't. Maybe this was past.
I'm sorry. Let's pop the stack here. Are you not familiar with Empire ads? I figured you would have grown up with those everywhere.
Yes, but I did not know the. Oh, yes, there is a video of the Empire Today logo history, 1977 to present. I'm
Please
excited.
put it in notes.
Yes.
And find out if you can who made them, because JJ Crumbletops is going to be is going to need some help with our identity stuff. And I just want to say, I want. God, I'm about to steal a joke. I'm about to steal a joke from Greg Davis and Alex Horn. But I just want to say, JJ Crumbletops, all of our locations, notional future locations that open, they will be open to all people and women.